But welcome back to another episode of Room 109. I'm your host, Miss Yamaa, and today we are diving into, if you want to listen to that, go ahead and listen to that because it will give you a lot of insight of where we're coming from. But I always love to do this. Do you want me to introduce you or do you want to introduce yourself?
You could go ahead. You know how you
I know. This is my girl, D. I don't even know how to describe her. Like, this is my road dog, my big sister, my confidant. We met through Zeta, but honestly, this has been more than that. So I do appreciate you just giving me your time, always giving me your knowledge, pushing me. You and Cab, y'all always push me together because one thing about it, I was a hot tomato. But I'm just really glad that we get to just really dive into this conversation. So we're just gonna go in. Let's do a check-in.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today? How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Living life as it's thrown at me. Start of 2025 has been a little rough for me. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm still pushing through and yeah, just taking it day by day. That's it.
That's amazing. For me,
I can't complain. How are you?
I'm okay. Life has been interesting. Like 1 year post grad, trying to figure out work and just trying to figure out everything.
Yeah.
Unsure if I want to stay in the DMV. I'm not sure what to do with my next steps. There's just been a lot of change. 2025 has been slow and steady, but I've been just taking a lot of time to just pour into my work and get back into my creative bag. So that's been good. That's been really good.
Like I say, pour into yourself first. That's it.
Yeah. That's all I can do. That's all we can do at this point. We are in a very interesting world time. So I think caring about yourself and loving on yourself is really ideal.
Very important too.
So for us to get into it, our last episode, let's recap that. Do you remember what we talked about? I know we talked about our love languages and we talked about us and relationships. So when you think about love languages, what's coming to your brain from our last episode when we did speak?
I think for me, the majority of the episode we just talked about what our personal love language is or was at that time, and how we navigate that in relationships. For me, from that time till now, I can say my love language is still the same.
Okay.
Which is quality time. Which to me is very important because I love just spending time with people, even if we just sit in silence, just the presence of somebody else. Not all the time though, sometimes. But even if we're just spending time together, sitting in silence, being in the presence of somebody else, that just, yeah.
It makes sense.
That's just me.
Yeah. Same. I think my love language did change. Yeah. I think acts of service is something that I'm really big on. I'm really big on, are you listening? And are you listening to understand? And are you listening to comprehend? Instead of, are you listening to listen? And as I started to live on my own, because at the time I lived at home in Boston, but now I live by myself. And I really pay attention to people who are really paying attention to me. And it don't even matter. It could be the littlest things. It don't even need to be money. It could be the smallest things. And I really find that to be near and dear because I'm just you're listening to me. Because I feel like a lot of people, we talk, but people don't listen. So I think that has been really big, and words of affirmation has been really big, especially with everything going on, just getting affirming words, just a little check, even if it's not a back and forth conversation, hey, I was thinking about you, damn, thank you. So I would say it definitely changed a lot.
Yeah. From what I remember, I think yours was receiving gifts or something before.
Yeah, receiving gifts. I think receiving gifts have changed to acts of service.
Okay, which is kind of the same, similar in an aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. But now it's really acts of service. I really care. Are you paying attention to me? Are you listening? I think we can just jump right into it. Oh, actually, no. So let me ask you, like, what is the most memorable way that someone has shown you your love language recently?
Recently?
Yeah, recently.
I I don't know. Honestly, I think because I've been so, I guess, consumed with just like life and working, I haven't really, you know, actually not received, but really noticed if anybody has,
Yeah.
um, shown me my love language lately. But I can say definitely in the past, I've had moments where people would just hit me up and be like, "Hey, you just want to hang out?" Yes, please. Like, let's just go out. Let's just go hang out. Let's just go talk. Let's just catch up or something like that. I definitely have had that in past relationships and had that in past friendships. Well, not past friendships, but in friendships as well. Um, but recently, I
I'm
don't
not
think
too
so.
sure.
Yeah.
I think to that, I would say like I'm thinking.
I think it's hard to pinpoint
It's
when.
hard to pinpoint. I would say a lot of my friends, hearing from a lot of like friends from like college, have been
Mm-hmm,
like, "Hey, just thinking about you."
mm-hmm,
People I haven't spoken to in a while, just, "Hey, I've been thinking about you, sending you love."
mm-hmm.
I would say that's like I can say that romantically. Um,
We ain't gotta do too much on that.
like, it's not like,
We
and I'm not gonna do my man like that, but it's not like he
uh-huh.
hasn't loved me my love language. I just don't
Yeah.
remember. But he does
Mm-hmm.
well. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
does well. I would
Yeah.
say words of affirmation, yes, most definitely. But I would say like what's been really like to my heart has been like friends, like hearing
Yeah.
people that I haven't
Mm-hmm.
heard from like a long time. So
Yeah.
that's been really good. So let's talk about love language. Like, what love language do you currently now relate to? Like, what is your, like, let's say top three?
Top three.
Yeah, top three and why?
Ooh. I would have to say definitely quality time. That's still number one for me. Um, I think number two would probably be acts of service as
Mm,
well. Um, and only because, like you said, just doing little things and just being there when I need you to be, and even when I don't need you to be, just
yeah,
being there, period. Um, and I think number three may have to be receiving gifts, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like elaborate, expensive, or whatever, but just something little. You saw something in the store and you thought about me. Oh, I think that, she may like this, blah, blah, blah. Um, so I think those have to be my top three.
those are your top three. I would
Yeah.
say we kind of have the same list, but
Mm-hmm.
to switch around, mine is acts of service. Actually, no, we don't. Acts of service, words of
Mm-hmm.
affirmation, quality time. I'm big
Okay.
on like just sit over there and I sit over here.
Yeah.
Like we don't gotta do too much. Just I just
Not
want
too
people.
much.
Like I just want people over and be like, hey, like I just want to
Uh,
know someone's in the atmosphere. But
mm-hmm,
I'm really big on acts of service. It really shows listening skills. I think the older I get
mm-hmm,
and like the more as I dive into who I am and what I want
mm-hmm.
as a woman and in my household, in friendships, in relationships, I'm really big on are you listening? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people are not listening.
No. Mm-mm. Sure not.
They're not.
Sure not.
Sure not.
Not at
And I
all.
also realized like a lot of our friends, especially and lovers too, but like friends, they be screaming out for help and we're just not listening to their needs, like or we're
Mm-hmm.
listening to what we want to listen to. So I think acts of service is really just shows up a lot. And I think to go into like our next like little question about our last episode, um what would you say like the new love language resonates to you now? Like, well, you don't really have anything new.
No, I don't think anything has changed, but I think probably from that time to now, I think the most I think the love language that definitely has changed for me will probably be the receiving gifts part. I was never big on receiving gifts.
What made it
Um,
change though? Like, why now? Like, what changed for you to be like, I would like to receive something?
I think for me personally, I'm a giver. Whether it's gifts, whether it's words, whether it's time, whatever. Everybody that knows me knows that I will give you my last. I will help you any way that I can. Even if I can't, I will find a way to help you. So for me personally, I wanted to receive that back.
Yeah.
If I'm giving all of this to you, I kind of want that back as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything, like I said before, expensive or anything like that. But I want to receive what I put out.
What you put
And
out.
I
Yeah.
think
Real.
being in this stage and phase of my life, especially being single, I've definitely had time to
Ooh.
really I definitely had time.
Stop this, what you just said.
It's okay.
Sorry, y'all. I was like,
Yes, it's going on 2 years, 3 years, 2 years,
ooh.
two. I don't even know, girl. Just know it's yeah. That's yeah. We gotta catch up outside this,
Yeah.
but
Ooh.
but yeah, just being in this time of singleness, I've kind
Mhm.
of just just been sitting with myself and really trying to figure out what is it that I want. My entire life I've catered to everybody else,
Yeah.
so yeah. So I would definitely have to say receiving gifts.
I agree. I would say acts of service. To your point, I've spent a lot of my time pouring into other people's cup, and my cup
Mm-hmm.
is needed. From friends, from lovers, but
Mm-hmm.
I think more from friends in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Friendships for over a decade, like, being there for people and them taking from me in a sense that they don't even know like how selfish they could be. I
Mm-hmm.
think, acts of service is really something, it's been really big on me because it just shows that they listen. Because I realized I was around a lot of people who weren't listening to me, but they just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
take from me. So
Yeah.
now that I have nothing to give, or I feel like I'm now realizing like, no, like if I don't put me first, like I can't help y'all. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, y'all are supposed to get my overflow. I'm not supposed to be giving y'all the cup. Like y'all are
Mm-hmm.
supposed to get what overflows of my cup.
Yep.
And the fact that I don't even got overflow and just, hearing about certain things and certain people, I think, acts of service has been really a lot. And honestly, actually, I take acts of service back. I think words of affirmation, I think both. It just goes hand in hand. Like I can't
It
even
does.
take
Yeah.
it. Like, I think both because I think it's also really good to just reassure people that you're here for them, you love them, you
Mm-hmm.
hear them, you feel them. Um, I think actually, I think it's interesting because when we did this episode, I just got out of a relationship. I just got
I
out of a relationship. Yes, I did because I was a little angry.
Yes,
I was
yes. I
very
think I
angry.
was I was at the tail end of or in between, I don't know, but
You was
yes.
you was in an in between, and I was
I was in
getting
an in
out of.
between stage.
Yeah, I was like getting out
Yes.
of a relationship. I was very angry and I was very like, "Ugh." But I will say like I can't like as someone who's kind of like newly in a relationship, I feel like my heart has softened
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more. So yeah, I would say that. So I talked
Okay.
a little bit about friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we talked about that last time, but I love to talk about
No.
friendships because I think it's a very good insight of, love languages because I feel like, that's still a platonic relationship, a
Mm-hmm.
friendship. So have you ever had friendships that where your love language didn't align and how did you navigate that? Like,
Ooh.
I know it's a little
Um
spicy, but
little spicy. Have I ever had them? Probably. I think we all have. Um, I think it's very common to have friendships where love languages necessarily don't align. But I think it's very important to learn, or I not learn, I guess to say compromise in how to navigate that into the friendship, because you're always not going to align when it comes to love languages, but I think having open communication, compromising, and then just having that mutual respect for different love languages, that's most important on how to navigate that friendship. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes some people are just totally opposites and the friendship doesn't work, which is fine. But if it is a friendship that, you care about, you want to work on or whatever, you'll learn to, compromise and figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Have I had friendships that don't? Yes.
How did you navigate?
Probably not friends with them now.
Real.
Which is fine. People grow apart. And then, people are in your life for only a season and sometimes only for a reason. So I don't think I have any friendships right now that I can say that there's not a mutual understanding or just like that communication or, anything that will kind of like jeopardize the friendship. I think all the friendships I have now are pretty much we're on the same page. Yeah, we're good. And
we're given. Yeah, that's good to hear. I brought this up because I think as I have been reflecting through like I'm 26 going on 27, so I think I'm going through the things that y'all used to talk about where you guys say like you guys are gonna learn who your friends are and blah, 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 blah. Like that purge. Like every grown Black woman I've ever spoken to has told me I've been there, I've gone through what you're going through. And like even my mom, she's been like, yeah, that was the age when I was just doing this. So I was just thinking
and it's fun. Yeah, and it's fine. Things happen. People get older, and I think I forgot what I was watching. It was either, I think it was an Instagram reel or something, and it was kind of talked about the process of friendships. People get to a certain point where you have friends from when you were younger. You spent all the time in the world with those people. You guys were all in the same stage in your life. You guys were all doing the same things in the same class, all that stuff. And then it's just like as you move into college, same thing, but a little bit different, but you're still friends with these people.
Kind of stuck because of convenience.
Yes, exactly. And then once after you graduate college, it's like, okay, everybody goes their separate ways. Everybody's trying to navigate through life, find their career path, find their life. Some people are getting married, some people are starting families, and then some people are just living their life, living their best life. And you guys aren't on the same, not even in the same book anymore. So it does happen. And there's just some people that, like I said, they're only there for a season. I have friends that I went to high school with. We were friends all through college, even after college. Some people I don't even talk to now. And if I do talk to them, it's probably once a year, twice. Happy holiday, happy birthday. So yes, it's going to happen, and that's fine. But then you're also going to have those people in your life that are going to be there for a lifetime.
Yeah. I think you said it perfectly. And I think also too, what brings me into like another one is like, you talked about how like now the friendships that you do have, they align to you and they meet your energy. I also just want to know, like, do you guys ever discuss, like, do you ever have those hard conversations? Do you ever talk about like, this is how I want you to show up for me? Would you consider that to be like a love language, or would you consider that to be like a different way of showing up? Because I know like love language is just like a way for us to understand how to love somebody. Yes, because I always believe love is not an emotion, it's an action. Because you got to wake up every day to choose love. So I feel like in our new friendships, because I can say the same to you, Diamani, like I feel like the people that I have now, it's relationships that I've been working on, I've been cultivating, I've been meeting them where they're at, I've been loving them where they're at. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it does. I think for me personally, what am we a little older than you,
I used to
but
be.
where but where I am in my life, I don't necessarily have to have those conversations with my friends, only because there is, from my aspect, there's a mutual understanding, because all my friends, well, most of my friends, they all have families, they all have kids, they all have their career, everything like that. And I understand that our friendship is not the sole focus of their life, like
Mm,
it might have been in the past,
mm,
when we were all hanging out, going wherever, going out, having fun, going on trips, doing whatever. Now it's like, no, they have a kids to take care of. They have a husband to take care of. They have a whole household to take care of.
yeah.
So for me personally, I don't necessarily have to have those conversations now with my friends, which I love.
That's great.
And I think once you, like I said, once you have that foundation where it was the open communication and the compromising on how the friendship, goes or whatever, as time passed, it's just natural. Like, I
Yeah.
have my best friend, I've known her since maybe 2010, 2009, 2010.
Mm,
She has, her life, her family, and everything. We may not talk for weeks at a time. Mind you, that is my best friend. Like, but there may be weeks at a time we don't, we just don't talk. And once in a while we check in. Hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. But I know I could call her anytime I need to, or if
yeah.
I'm in a rut, or if I just need to cry, or just somebody to talk to, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you'll get to that point where, well, you probably are at that point now, but you eventually get to that point in your life where you just understand people are just living their life. And if that is truly your friend, they would understand that I'm not going to talk to you every day. I'm not going to talk to you every week. May not even talk to you every month. But just know that if you need something, call my phone. I'll be there.
I'll be there. Yeah, I would say definitely learning that. I went
Mm-hmm.
through a lot last year, realizing that not a lot of people are keeping the same energy or giving me the same grace.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Sure do.
I got bashed for things where I'm just like, I just told you why. This is
Yeah.
what's going on. So I think that was just a really, like, you just said it so perfectly, because I agree. I think the older we get, though, and the more life happens, we start to then realize that, you know, you can't dwell on your friends all the time, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always an open communication. My brother said this, like, there comes a point in time when you need a partner. Me and my older brother was just talking about that. He's like, I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people just need a partner, because some of the things they're asking their friends for, I feel like that's between you and your partner, because your friends can't do so. Your friends can only do so much. And I sat
Yeah.
down and I thought about it, and I was like, you have a point. You made a point. So I really loved how you cleaned that up. But I think we're gonna get into the juicy part. You talked
Okay.
about being single, and that is news to me. But I would say, like, I know you talked a little bit about how you haven't been discovering your love languages and your singleness, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want to question you, like, what have been your process of processing being single, and processing your love languages to yourself at this point?
I think for me personally, my personal journey, I just been, I guess, figuring out what I love, and what I enjoy. Um, and I think that's very important for people to do. Um,
Agree.
is to figure out what brings you joy and what brings you happiness. Um, Because if you're not happy within yourself, you can't be happy for nobody else or for nobody
No,
else.
even if you have somebody with you, you will still
That
be bitter.
you exactly. And then I think it's very important in your singleness, especially when it comes to love languages, is to date yourself,
Mm,
but intentionally.
mm,
Not being like, oh, I'm just gonna go take myself out or go do something. No, intentionally date yourself. how would you want somebody to date you? You know? So, yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think you did. I think to the point of being single, I think I spent a lot of time understanding my non-negotiables and what I want and don't want. But I spent a lot of time pouring into myself in the things I want. So there's just certain things in a relationship that I'm just not going to take because I treat myself like that. And I'm a big believer on I can't ask for stuff if I'm not doing it for myself. Like I cannot be like, I want all of these things and I'm unable to sit with that. I think sitting with yourself and like when I was single, sitting with myself and being single was very uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable because
It's very comfortable.
it was uncomfortable because I was really isolated. Like I just went through like a best friend breakup for over like how many years, you know what I mean? And then like I'm single and then my birthday came. Like I'm used to always having, if it wasn't me and my girl doing our birthday, it was probably me and like my dude at the time doing my birthday. So like like the past like year just sitting with myself in solitude, it made me so uncomfortable, but it also made me lean into my love language, which was, you know, words of affirmation and pouring into myself and honestly like showing up and listening to myself and listening to my needs because it was ghetto. It's very
Listen, discovering your love language while you're single is definitely a process of self-reflection and observation. Period.
oh, oh.
Period.
And like, can you go in depth in that? Because I feel like that is so like I keep moving because that's how I feel when you're going. It's just so antsy because it's not pretty.
No, it's not. It's a lot of reflection on not only yourself but your past relationships and friendships. How how did those make you feel when you were with certain people? Because sometimes relationships and friendships, they have their goods, their bads, their uglies, all of that. But you kind of have to like think about, okay, when's the time I felt most loved or appreciated in those relationships and friendships? And then also notice how you show love and care for people around you. It's also important. Pay attention to how you just express that care for people because kind of how you express your care for people is how you want to receive it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
been a journey.
It has. And it's been an amazing journey.
I can see it. I can see it in your face though. You look like at ease. Like you look at like
the relationship, the past one, the most recent one was not, not the best. And it didn't end the best either. But I can definitely say I needed this. Because if I probably would have lost myself. I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you don't want to lose yourself. And that's good. I mean, that's the meaning of singleness. You never know.
Yeah.
But also you just never know when it's gonna be your turn sometimes to pick up and try again too, because that can come at any given moment.
Any given moment. Listen, I'm not
to just sweep you off your feet. Like it really does.
Listen, I'm waiting for that moment. I'm waiting for that point in time where just come get me. I'm here. But I'm in no rush either, but I'm here.
As it should be. You think society focus too much on like romantic relationships when it comes to love languages?
Oh, absolutely. I think that they make it seem like love languages only pertains to romantic relationships, and that is not the case at all. Friendships, family, even colleagues sometimes. I think
God. You just hit a spot. I forgot about family so bad.
Yes. There has been people in my family that I just like I can't get with. I really can't get with, and that's fine. I just choose not to be around people in certain situations, in certain environments, and that's fine. But I definitely think that when it comes to love languages, it's always the romantic relationships.
And I don't get it. I really don't understand it because as someone who is in a relationship, I keep screaming out loud. Y'all ain't telling me how hard it was to be in one. Like it's and I mean this by like every single day you are learning and growing and high key fighting to be our best selves and like compromising and trying to show up, and that's hard. Like that is so hard. I'm so used to being like but it's like you can't be like every day you gotta show up and say yes in a sense. So I do think society focuses way too much on romantic relationships, and I wish they can be more upfront about the work to be in romantic relationships, because it's a lot of work. It's like, okay, we get in one.
It is. It requires a lot of work, but it also should never feel like a job, if that makes sense.
You should want to do it in a sense. You should want to be better in a sense too. I think to a point that you brought, what would you bring in like family? Like you brought like a different angle I didn't think about. Like I've never thought about family and love languages, and kind of a big African family. I'm just like, can we talk about that a little bit more? Like,
so I think you kind of have to treat family as, friendships, except for like, your mom and your dad and, stuff like that. But I kind of feel like you kind of have to treat it like friendships. Family, there's some family that's going to show up for you, and there's some family that's not going to show up for you. There's some family that understands, just takes. Let me, I guess I should go on that angle. That just tends to take a lot from you sometimes. And that could be draining.
That is so
very, very much so draining.
They can take, they can take and not even realize. They can take and don't feel accountable to understanding that they're taking. Because they're like, well, since we're blood, I can take. And that's crazy to me. But continue.
That's okay. And then I think for me, because acts of service is one of my, one of my love languages, if you ain't doing nothing for me, just because you're family, I don't need to have you in my life. No. If you're not adding any type of anything, it just, I just don't need to have you there. And for me, with my love language, quality time. Yes, there's some family that I spend quality time with, love it. And then there's just some I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to spend time.
You got to be in the same room. We can skip that right now.
Yeah. So I think it kind of goes. Who all gonna be there? That's the question. That's the question. But no, I kind of treat some of my family relationships like friendships.
I agree. Same here. There's some family members that I'm just like, yeah, I know not to pick up because I already know where this conversation's gonna go. But I never thought about it like that. And then to put in it, like we hate saying that we're besties, but like me and my cousin, we're like best friends. We're basically like best friends. That is true. Like she does meet me with my love languages. We do meet each other on how we need to love each other. So that was a really good take. I just never thought about it like that. And I think,
and most people don't.
My brain thinking. You got my brain like, oh my God.
Most people don't, because they're like, oh, it's family, you don't get to choose them, but yeah, I can choose you. Yeah. I can choose to have you in my life and part of my life. You don't have to be in my life. Just because you're family, just because we have the same, the blood runs, you don't need to be in my life.
No.
So
yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So I want to pick your brain about like future love language, future Diamani, future where we're going. And Do you think it's very important to really know your love languages before going into an intentional relationship? Like, do you think it's important? Do you think it's going to help the relationship moving forward from the
Abs-
last relationship? Because I mean,
uh,
like listening to our last episode and like where we was coming from, I'm not gonna lie, it was so cringy listening to that, Diamani, because I was like, oh my god, like our heads was like,
I was coming for everybody's head. But moving forward for me, yes, absolutely. Being very intentional about my love languages, because now it's not just one anymore, it's kind of a combination of all of them. But of course I have my top three. Very being very intentional about that. If you cannot meet me where I am, I'm sorry, I worked very hard to be where I am, to be in the mindset that I'm at. Um, I need you to meet me where I am. I don't need you to take me back to a place that I don't want to be,
I
and
agree.
that just does not match who I am today and who I plan on being moving forward.
No, I agree. I
Um,
agree.
so yeah, being very intentional um, about who you know
You let
I
into your
choose to
space.
share.
You let
Yeah.
around you. I think that to your point, I think it's very vital and it's important because I was listening to a sermon and his pastor was talking about how he bought his wife a car, but she wasn't happy. She was pregnant. And they were coming from Nigeria, so she's giving birth in the States. And
Mm-hmm.
how basically he bought the car and she was like, thanks for the car, and had an attitude and went back. So he was like, why she got an attitude? She just got a brand new car. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, I just don't think you're reading me in my love language.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer quality time. This is our last time together until it's time for me to give birth. And you chose to go all day to buy me a car. Granted, I needed the car. Thank you. But I would have preferred you being here and listening to me and just being with me. And that opened my eyes in such a different dimension because I was like, imagine being with someone thinking this is what they need and you're doing these great things like you're trying to be your best, but it's not like you're not being your best. You're just not loving someone in the language that they want to
Language.
be loved in and they understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's very important because like this is what an older couple and one hear Africans talk about that was just wild to me. Because I'm just like the people that like not to say like they're not romantic or they don't love, but it's not something that you often see a lot
Mm-hmm.
in African homes, West Indian
Mm-hmm.
homes, I would say Black homes. There's certain homes
Yeah.
like really uphold those relationship standards. But it made me wonder, like, am I loving someone in the language that's going to translate that I care for them, I love them? Because you could be doing all these things and they still don't understand it because you're not meeting them at the love language that
Out there. Yeah.
that's a
No,
maturity. It takes maturity to understand that. So I
it does. It takes maturity and it takes the willingness. If you don't care and you just out here just willy nilly, I just want to be in a relationship and don't care, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work.
no,
Unless you meet somebody that's the same way you are, just willy nilly need to be in a relationship. I just need to be in a relationship. Then that works.
no,
But
it's not
9 times out of 10, it's not going to work if
no.
you're not intentional.
Not
Um,
intentional, not up front,
mm-mm,
not forward, because
no.
it's just going to put you in a loophole. Because, like I said earlier, it is going to take time. It takes time to be in
Mm-hmm.
those relationships. So we talked about
Yeah,
soul ties. We went in a
we
rabbit hole
did.
about
We
soul ties.
did.
So, what's your thoughts and opinions about soul ties now?
They affect everything. Okay? Everything. Your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, every aspect that you can possibly think of. Soul ties affects. Okay? That's
Oh,
all I'm gonna
soul
say.
ties is crazy. I'm thinking about love. Like Serena saying, soul ties is crazy. Like, okay, so let's break this down into like three parts. So I'm gonna
Okay.
say it full out. How do you think soul ties affect your ability to move forward after a relationship? And I think you broke it down. So where do you want to tackle first? Do you want to tackle mentally, spiritually? Like, where do we want to go? I kept this
I
last
get.
one for the best because we go on
I
a tangent.
see. I see. I guess we can go emotional because that's usually, the most. I'll say not most, but the most common one. It affects the emotion part.
I would say soul tie is definitely so. Listening back to that episode, I chuckle, I cringe, I really do
Yeah,
cringe. I don't
yeah.
think people understand. I cringe when I hear my own self talk. But
Oh, me
I
too.
will
Don't worry.
say, emotional, yeah. I had a really interesting situationship, um, prior to getting into my relationship. Um, in that situationship, as I sit back and realize it was a really bad soul tie. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it started off emotionally because he stated that he wanted a relationship with me. He stated that he wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
with me. And
Mm-hmm.
when things got physical, he started to switch up and he started to change
Mm-hmm.
his mind. But it did start saying that he wanted a relationship. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like emotionally, I was kind of confused because I was like, you said you wanted to be with me, and now all of a sudden you don't want to be with me. I think my emotions didn't, granted, he told me what he wanted, but his actions were still coming around me. We were still
Mm-hmm.
like, fooling around, doing what we do. And I do think it took an emotional toll on me because I was just really confused, but I was also trying to prove to myself maybe he wants me. And it wasn't until I sat back and I was like, yo, this is something spiritual. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is nothing I can like I'm gonna have to pray this person, this
Mm-hmm.
out of me because emotionally, like, we like it's playing with my mind. It's messing with my ego. It's making me do things I never would do to prove myself. And I've always been somebody who's like, oh, soul ties are not real. But like, I do believe a soul tie is real. And I do believe like there's certain individuals that can have you captive. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
crazy I can say this, but like he truly had my like emotions like this. Like I was very like woo, like I was very just like sprung about the
Mm-hmm.
situation because I just couldn't believe you really took me for a whirlwind. Like you started off like really making it seem like it's about to be what it is and it
Yeah.
just wasn't. And emotionally it took me down a roller coaster. It was an emotional roller coaster because it's like, well, you speak to me, you make me feel good, like we're together, and then all of a sudden you switch. It's like a switch. So emotionally it was a lot. And as an adult, dealing with a soul tie, I think is different when you're in your parents' house versus when you're in your own space. I think
Mm-hmm.
you have to have your own covering. And I think it was harder to break it off. It was much harder. Because
Yeah.
emotionally, I'm just like, nah, he want me. He want me. But no, he just wanted he loved the chase. He loved that emotion, that high, like that wave that he made me feel. So
Yeah.
to that
Soul
point.
ties can definitely lead to emotional attachments, as I call them. Because you're attached to the idea of something that can be, or, could be, or you hope to be. Um, but yeah, I call them emotional attachments. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that one. But yeah, but no,
Worst one.
huh?
And I think that's the worst one. If you had to like pick out what it is, I think the emotional attachments are just terrible.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when they play with your feelings, and they play with your emotions.
Your character.
I can definitely say, yeah, I can definitely say I can relate to your situationship because I had a similar situationship, um, where it was just the not the fantasy, but the thought of what what could be, what could this be? Could this actually be something than us just, you know, doing what we're doing? And of course, this person had a way with words and had a way with, oh yeah, I'm gonna make the effort to do more. Gonna, all this stuff that every girl wants to hear. And of course,
Wasn't.
it wasn't that. So
You said mentally. How did it mentally impact you?
whew. I think for me personally, it kind of has this hold on the what ifs, you know? What if this could really be something? Or what if I'm doing something wrong? What if maybe I should have did this instead of actually doing what I did?
Yeah.
Just like it really plays into that what ifs.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to soul ties, for me personally, I don't know about anybody else, but it's always the what ifs for me.
Yeah. The what ifs is always going to have you in a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, as I've learned God's word more and just learned who God is and knowing that he's not a God of confusion and the devil, he's stupid. He going to put you in a cycle. You're going to have to realize this is a cycle. This is a chain of demand. Keeps happening. How do you break the cycle?
Yeah.
Because that's all a soul tie is a cycle. And
That's it. It literally is just a cycle, and a repeated cycle if you allow it to be. It's something that it's definitely difficult to let go, but it's not impossible.
No.
So,
because you gotta want more for yourself. One of my girlfriends said to me, she said she ate me up so good. She was like, "You want to live like this?" She's like, "What's up with you? Like, this is the life you want to live? You don't want more for yourself?" That hurt. That hurt.
See, that's a friend you gotta keep around.
Oh, most definitely.
They're gonna put you in check every time.
Most definitely. Because to hear that, like, oh, like that's what you want for yourself, I was like, oh, it just quivered in my body. Would you say, like, how have you healed from that soul, like from a soul tie? For like what have you done to push you to get away from that feeling?
Self-reflection. Just understanding, what was good about it and what was bad. It's always a reflection of self. Like you said, is this something that you want for yourself? Is this something that that you want to continue to do? And if it's not, how are you going to get over this? Creating boundaries. That is my word for 2025. Boundaries. Okay. I am sorry. That probably hurt some people's feelings already. And we only 21 days into the new year. I don't care. I'm creating my healthy boundaries physically, emotionally, all that.
Yeah.
And then I think another one is just forgiveness. Honestly, forgiving yourself and the other person. I think that's most important too. Because some things it happens, some things are mistakes, misunderstandings can also happen. So you can't just be, angry at that person or whatever. You got to forgive them. Forgive, move on, and forgive yourself. Everything's a learning process. And then for me, another one has just been spiritually. Like I just been, making my relationship with God a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And that is most important for me. Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah. I really enjoyed our conversation. Me too. I must say, we have grown up.
Girl.
We have grown up a lot.
I'm telling you, because I can say the Diamante a year ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
girl.
life experiences are here to test you. Go
Yes.
through a
Yes.
test. You don't have a testimony. Trials and tribulations is here to test your faith. And
Okay.
those who see will see perseverance. So I think you made my brain think a lot today. Like I'm gonna
I'm
dive
glad.
into family love languages and ask my mom, hey mom, like what is your love language? Like she's like, what are you talking about? But
Okay.
still needed. I'm
Yeah.
just so grateful that we're able to just come back like 4 years later to now have this conversation. And I'm just really happy to see that you are loving
Yeah.
on yourself though, because just
Thanks.
knowing prior to, the last situation and what we were talking about,
Yeah.
I definitely think you needed this time to just really like just love on Diamante and just put that love into yourself. And I think
Mm.
us as women and us as Black women, we live in society where we work 10 times harder
Mhm.
in work, family,
Yep.
and the least in a relationship. Let us have the softest, purest.
Right. I'm in my soft girl era right now. I just want to be soft. I want my heart to just be soft. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not asking for a lot. I could do anything and everything for myself. I just want somebody to keep me in my soft era. That's it.
keep
That's
you
it.
with peace.
That's it.
Peace and joy is one of the fruit of the spirits, and that's something that
Okay.
it's our gift. We need to have it. And I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
anyone that comes in our lives, friendship or romantically, if they're not able to lessen the burdens, they don't
Mm-hmm.
need to be in our lives. So I'm
No.
really happy about this conversation and like this
Me
update
too.
because like, ooh, Diamante.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have after this. I'm gonna have to go watch listen to our episode again. Give it another listen.
Yo, give that another listen. I'm not gonna lie. I
Another
listened
one.
to it and I said,
I
oh
did too.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm proud of myself. But I'm just
Mm-hmm.
grateful that you came on again and we were able to have this conversation. I'm really excited to
Me
see
too.
what happens for you in 2025.
Thank you, darling.
I'm
Same to
sending
you.
love your way. We're all like, this episode drops in February anyway. So, like, it's the month of
The
love.
month of love.
So happy Valentine's, but like I'm just so like excited to see because I feel like no matter, even though we are in chaos and there's a whole bunch,
Mm.
I do feel like everyone's deserving of love, and you too, dear mommy. Like
Yes. Thank
I
you.
cannot wait until you are telling me like, nah, like we got the one, and I'm
It's the one.
the
It's the
one.
one.
Like, amen, because and mind you, you're the one that told me when I was going through my breakup, you gotta kiss a couple frogs before you get your prince. And to this day, I
Okay.
still live by it.
Okay.
So I love you. Thank you for coming on
I love you too.
Nine.
Thank
Oh, you're
you.
so welcome. And everybody else, thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, follow us all down below. I put everything down where you can keep up with us. Episode 11, Love Languages Part 2. I'm going to put below our season 2 episode, and also I'm going to put Diamante's contact if you want to just reach out to her and follow her for more information. But thanks y'all for listening. It's about to get real. Tune into our next episode. Peace and blessings, y'all.